Now, if I was starting my Instagram account from scratch and I was going to debut it, I was going to put my first ever post live on it, let's say in a week's time, I would spend the next week creating and planning my next 3 or 4 weeks worth of content in one go. Hi YouTube and welcome back to my channel. If you are a new subscriber, hi, I'm Bella Foxwell, Instagram educator that drops a brand new video to YouTube every single Friday. If you're a returning subscriber or a returning viewer, thank you so much for your ongoing support. In today's video, I am talking about what I would do if I was starting to grow an Instagram account from scratch. If I had 0 followers, what would be my strategy? Where would I start? Because I know that this is a question that lots of people have, whether they are brand new to Instagram, or maybe if you are using Instagram and you've been on it for a while and you want to know how to kind of refresh your strategy, then this might be a great video to tune into. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and bell button so you never miss a new video when it goes live every single Friday at 5 p.m. GMT. And without further ado, let's dive into the video. So the first thing you want to do is your research. And there are 2 strands of research you really want to dig into so that you can come to Instagram and show up really, really well prepared and with as much knowledge at your fingertips as possible. So the first is your customer research, of course, your target market research. You want to make sure that you understand who it is you're trying to reach and engage with and ultimately sell to really, really thoroughly. So that means understanding exactly what your target market looks like, obviously building out their profile that goes beyond just the demographics of where they live and their salary and things like that. You actually really want to dig deep into their lifestyle, their habits, their preferences, their routines, because all of this information is going to be really, really helpful when knowing who to look for and how to find them on Instagram. Because remember, when people show up on Instagram, often it's because they are talking about their lifestyles, they're sharing their favorite hobbies and their routines and the things they love with their friends and family. So the better you know that, the easier it will be for you to actually find those people and create the content that really resonates with them. The second strand of research you want to do is your competitive research, particularly on Instagram. So you want to look around at your competitors, direct and indirect, to see how they are showing up on Instagram. Why? Because you want to show up even better. You don't want to be doing something very similar to your competition because you're not going to stand out. You're not going to have cut through or traction on Instagram in 2020 with a so similar strategy. So you want to have a look at the competitive landscape, see where the bar is, and then you want to raise that bar. So if you see that your competitors are doing certain things, how can you do something a bit different, something a bit better? It's also good to understand what is working well for your competitors, not to copy them, but so that you do get a better understanding of what's already resonating with your audience. When you are going out and trying to do better than your competition, you obviously want to have an understanding of what is already working well. You don't want to show up doing something so out there and so avant-garde that it doesn't have any cut through with your audience. So have a look as well to see what's already resonating with your audience and your potential customers so that you can get a better understanding for what they like, and then you can figure out how you can appeal to them even better. So the next thing you want to do before you post anything on Instagram, before you do anything, is you want to figure out what your content types are. Now, when I say content types, I mean the types of imagery that you're going to share on Instagram. So there's a few different types of images that generally are shared on Instagram. There are product shots, there are shots of people, there are people and product shots, there are flat lays, there are images of tools or equipment, there are images of spaces and places. And of course, there are text graphics or infographics. So you want to decide before you start posting what types of imagery, what content types are you going to share on a regular basis. Knowing clearly which of these you're going to share on a regular basis will enable you to be able to stick to a more consistent brand aesthetic, and it will also give you that ease and simplicity of content creation when you sit down to batch create your content, because you will know, right, I am going to share these 3 types of imagery, so I need to create X amount of these types of posts, X amount of these types of posts, and X amount of these types of posts every month. It just helps simplify the process when you know the content types you are going to share every month. So to give you a couple of quick examples, here is Emma Griffin, a copywriter on the screen. Her 2 content types are images of her and text graphics. Whereas body care company Meet Flamingo, they share 3 types of content, generally speaking, and that is people and product shots, people shots, and text graphics. So now you have your research done, your content types chosen. Now it's to think briefly about your visual aesthetic. But, and this is a big but, I don't want you to get hung up on having the perfect grid. Yes, visuals are still important on Instagram. Obviously, it's an image-first platform, but having the perfect grid in 2020 is not the be-all and end-all, and you don't want to waste your precious time worrying about that when you could be doing more important things and more productive things like engaging with people. So just consider your visual aesthetic. Decide, are you going to have a certain color that runs through all of your content? Are you going to stick to a clean, pared back visual aesthetic? Or are your images going to be colorful? Broadly speaking, just decide what your kind of theme is, what your visual aesthetic is going to be. This will just help give consistency throughout your content. It will make the content creation process simpler for you, and it helps that brand recall and that brand awareness with your audience. If you're always sharing a completely different image and image aesthetic every single time, it won't help people come to recognize that the content you're sharing is from you and your brand. So that's why having a bit of a theme or a bit of consistency is important. So a couple of examples on the screen now. You've got Aperol, the delicious liqueur, which I love every summer. You can see in their content that they have an orange hue and a slightly saturated tone throughout their imagery, which is a great consistency that they have. When they share an image, you know it's from Aperol. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have a service-based business provider, Kat Coroy, who is a designer and Instagram teacher. And she has just a very simple, clean aesthetic with pops of turquoise and lilac throughout her imagery. So there's just a couple of examples of ways of having a consistent design aesthetic through your imagery without letting it completely overwhelm you and overtake all your time. So don't think too much about it, but just think about it so you have a bit of consistency. Now, if I was starting my Instagram account from scratch and I was going to debut it, I was going to put my first ever post live on it, let's say in a week's time, I would spend the next week creating and planning my next 3 or 4 weeks worth of content in one go. So what I would do is I would decide on a posting schedule, 3 posts a week, let's say, and 5 Instagram stories every week. So then I would spend the next week pulling together, creating 12 main feed or grid posts, as they're also called. I would spend my time creating 12 main feed posts, and I would sketch out 15 to 20 Instagram stories. I wouldn't necessarily batch create all of my stories because personally I like to create stories more on the day that they're going to be shared. However, I do plan my stories in advance so that I'm more likely to actually share them. I don't get overwhelmed on the day because I don't know what I'm going to share. So yes, I would sit down and I would batch create my main feed content and I would plan my Instagram stories. The reason that this is a really, really good idea and a good thing to do if you're starting your Instagram account from scratch or if you want a refresh is because consistency on Instagram is so important. And the best way to do that is by forward planning your content. If you are posting on an ad hoc basis and you are posting in the moment every day, you're kind of thinking, oh God, I haven't posted in 3 days. What should I post now? That's a really quick way to get out of the rhythm of posting and then realize that you haven't posted on Instagram in the last week or 2 weeks. Give yourself the best chance of success by forward planning your content because it's going to do you huge favors. It's going to make sure you can show up consistently on Instagram. It's going to tell the Instagram algorithm that you are a quality account that is showing up consistently with value. And also, it's going to free up your time on a daily basis that you were previously spending worrying about what content to share to actually spend that time engaging with your audience. Now, to help you do that, I recommend using a tool like Later. I love Later. I use the desktop free version. So I actually plan all my content in various different ways. I have Google Docs. I also have a Google spreadsheet where I have lots of ideas, my ideas bank that I pull from every month, and then I write the captions in my Google Doc. I know what content types I'm going to share. So then I just have to go through the process of either making text graphics or going through images that I've already taken and already have stored of myself, because those are generally the two types of images I share, me and text graphics. And then I pull it all together in Later, and then I get a push notification sent to me whenever a new post is ready to be pressed and pushed live. So really recommend Later for doing that. So we're up to the point now of having batch created a certain amount of posts worth of content ready to go live. And let's pretend now that my Instagram account, today is the day that it's going live. I am debuting my first piece of content and my first story. Now from today, I am going to prioritize engagement. When you are a new and growing account on Instagram, it's really, really important to make sure that you are proactively going out and finding your target market. You're going out and finding those people who you already had done all that research on, and then I'm using hashtags based on that research to go and find them. So if location matters to you for whatever reason, if you are a local photographer, a local business at a brick and mortar store and location matters to you, then you can start by searching the location hashtag to start engaging with people in your area that you could well work with or could well come into your brick and mortar store. If, however, location doesn't matter, then you might start with hashtags about your target market's identity. So that could be their job, that could be what they're doing for a living. For example, hashtag teachers down under. I might search that if teachers in Australia are one portion of my target market. Or maybe I might search hashtag home bakers if I am an online cookery school and I am looking for some amateur bakers to start engaging with. Take a look at all that research you did about your target market, your ideal customers and clients, and start pulling out different bits of information that you can then search for in Instagram based on hashtags, and start engaging with those people. Start leaving them comments, start watching their stories, and when appropriate, sending them a DM off the back of their stories. Nothing salesy right now, just friendly, one-to-one human engagement that's got nothing to do with business. The more engaging you are, the more people will come back and check you out. This sends positive signals to the Instagram algorithm, and by default, gradually bit by bit, it's going to grow your Instagram account, because it's not going to happen without you being proactive. You just posting great content, no matter how good it is, no matter how innovative your content is, when you are growing an account, and I'd really say a growing account is kind of anywhere from 0 up to 10,000 followers, I would consider still a growing account. You want to be being really, really proactive. You want to be getting out there and engaging with your target audience, increasing the reach and visibility of your content and getting more of your ideal customers and clients' eyeballs on your content. Another thing I would do, which is a really smart idea, is I would start making a note of the people in your space that you could collaborate with in the future. So I would look for relevant industry partners that are a similar size to you. I mean, obviously, as you're a brand new Instagram account, there may be people that you are looking to collaborate with that are bigger than you right now, but it's something to aspire to. So don't think about partnering with someone who has 50,000 followers right now, but there might be micro influencers, people with, let's say, 10,000 followers or even 5,000 followers that you could make a note of to connect with in the future when you've grown a bit more, to partner with. So for example, off the top of my head, if you are a fitness clothing brand, there might be a micro influencer, a micro PT that you could partner with to increase your visibility, increase your reach, and both benefit from sharing content to each other's audiences. If I was a brand new Instagram account starting from scratch, what I would also make sure to do, which is really, really important, is I would make sure there is another way for people to connect with me and for me to stay in touch with my audience that isn't just Instagram. So it might be an email list, it might be a Facebook group. Whatever it is, make sure that there is some other way that you can stay top of mind with your audience if, God forbid, Instagram were to disappear tomorrow. It's important to make sure that you are keeping your engagement on Instagram and building up that visibility, that engagement on Instagram itself. But it's also really important that you are being a smart marketer and you are not putting all your eggs in one basket. So from the beginning, make sure if you are going to set up an email list to stay in touch with people, which I really recommend that you do, make sure you are doing that as well in tandem. Do that now. you are at a great advantage where you are not huge at the moment, and so you have a bit more time to actually focus on getting all of your systems set up properly and at least the groundwork started, those foundations put in place for future success. So make sure that you have your email service provider set up. I use ConvertKit, which I love. It's really easy and intuitive. Get that set up, create your freebie or your challenge or whatever it is that people are going to want to opt into, and that in an exchange for, you will get their email address. So do that as well, so you also have another way of staying top of mind with your audience. That's all for this week's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and bell button if you enjoyed this video and you want to be reminded whenever a new video goes live every single Friday. If you enjoyed this video, I have dropped a bunch of other similar videos on the topic of Instagram marketing in the description box below. I would love for you to go and check them out. And if you would like to take part in my 4-day free Instagram email challenge, then check out the link in the description box below and the comment that I've left below this video. It's a free 4-day email challenge, and it's great for you whether you are brand new to Instagram or whether you have been on Instagram for a while and you're feeling a little bit stuck and stagnant. I will see you next week for a brand new video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.